Hi, welcome back to my channel. If you're a first-time watcher, hi, my name is Michelle, and this is literally me here making videos about books I love, books I've read, books I want to read, and so on. It's Friday, so that means I want to do a Friday Reads video. However, I'm doing a little bit of a twist on that. As you may have noticed in my thumbnail, I am going to talk about nighttime books versus daytime books. What could I possibly mean by that? Well, what I'm talking about is nighttime books are the type of book that you can read in the evening or read in bed, as I like to do, and they don't impede with your sleep or your ability to get to sleep or stay asleep. They are kind of a slower, more relaxing pace. They don't feature a lot of breakneck action, but they do keep you wanting to continue. It's just easy to put them down on the nightstand. As for daytime reads, what I'm talking about with those would be books that do require more alertness, more attention to detail. They move at a really fast pace. They have compelling storylines, characters, really fast, intense action where if you are not paying attention, you might miss something, whether it's the dialogue or the actions of the characters or so on. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. A couple examples of books that I have read for nighttime book versus daytime book would be the first one I'll talk about, which is The Weight of Blood by Laura McHugh. I read this several years ago and absolutely loved it. Everybody that I recommended it to also loved it. This is my example of a book that you would want to read in the daytime. It has dual perspectives. Actually more than two. There's probably 3 or 4 different perspectives that you're reading from. There is a romance, there's a murder mystery, there is some blackmail, there are a couple different villains happening. It goes between timelines from a mother and daughter in different decades apart kind of thing. So it was a very fast-paced read. This one actually did keep me from sleeping a couple nights. I stayed up way too late, way later than I intended to, reading this. And I did pick it up the next day to continue because I had to find out what was happening. So this would be one example of a great daytime read. You do not want to read it at night as I did, or you will lose sleep, believe me. It's compulsive, propulsive storytelling at its very finest. I absolutely loved it. So yeah, this would be a good example of a better read in the day book. A good example of a nighttime read that I loved equally, but it was a completely different pace, yet equally as compulsively readable, is Homegoing by Yaa Gyasi. I also read this around the same time, I want to say almost 10 years ago-ish, maybe a little less, maybe 2016, or I can't remember. Anyway, I love this book. It's another 300-pager, same as this one. However, I found that I could read this in bed and it would not impede in my quality of sleep or keep me up late reading. I found that with each chapter, the way the story unraveled was at a slower pace. So, and as also it was told by different characters, like each chapter is a different person. So that also helped in making it easier to put down on the nightstand and shut the light off rather than keep on reading all night. So yeah, this one was great for that. Loved it. It was a fantastic story that spans hundreds of years, multi-generational saga, and really makes you think. Although, like I said, I could read this at bedtime and it was fine. So 2 examples. Nighttime book, daytime book. My current reads are my current nighttime book, which is The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. Now, I've never read this before. This is the very first time I'm reading this. I didn't have to read it in school as far as I can remember. I wasn't a particularly good student, and high school for me was not a particularly fun experience, so I may have blocked it out if I did read this. I'm not sure. Anyway, I am loving it. Why I think this makes a great book to read in the evening for me or before bedtime is that back when it was written in a serialized format in episodes that were published in the newspaper in small consumable episodes, like I said, where it's more serialized, like a television show, like a series where you get an episode each week, which usually ends on a cliffhanger, and then you tune in the following week to find out what happens next. Because this was written that way, I find it's very satisfying to read a few short chapters a night or what have you, and you do not lose the perspective or the story by putting it down. You can put it down and come back to it. I'm about 400 pages in so far, and I can put it down and pick up another book. In fact, that's what I did just to have a bit of a palate cleanser. And I mean, I have so many books I want to read that are shorter. It's easy to set this one down, pick up a different book, read it, and then come back to it. I also find that even though there is a lot of dialogue between the characters, if you're not paying that much attention to it, like if you're kind of tired when you're reading it, it's okay. You'll still know what's going on if you resume reading, because he puts them in the next scene doing something. Their actions will tell you what they're doing rather than having to read what they're saying to each other, particularly with Albert and Franz, two of the characters. Sometimes their dialogue gets a little bit, I don't want to say dry exactly. They get a little bit long-winded, but even if you put it down, you'll still know what they're doing in the following chapter. So you don't have to be as keenly aware of the details as you do in a more mentally stimulating, exciting so-called daytime book. Another thing that I really appreciated about this classic book is that the language is very accessible. It's not written in Elizabethan English, which I tend to not get on with as well. I'm not a big Shakespeare person. I do, however, kind of like Oscar Wilde, but that's a different topic for a different day. So yes, very accessible English. Another thing that makes it great is that it's just, for me, there's something inherently magical about reading something that is, 100 plus. In this case, I think it's like about 180 or so years old. So it's just like time travel. It just takes you away. It's a very soothing, almost like a massage for your brain. I find it very relaxing to read an old book for some reason. I don't know if it's the antiquity of it that makes it relaxing or soothing to me. It's like sitting by a warm fireplace or cozied up with a blanket. That's what it feels like to me to read something this old. So there's that as well. There's the comfort. And I find it, like I said, easy to put it down, have a good sleep, and come back to it the next day. So yeah, this is my current read, loving it, about 400 or so pages in, and I will continue to read it probably tonight before bed. Now, my current daytime read, which I'm really excited to share, is a debut novel that came out in 2024, and it's called Death in the Air by Ram Murali. This book is crazy. I'm about 75 or so pages in. I'll just give you a bit of the story. We are following a character named Ro. He's very rich, a young, very affluent, high society moving person. He is a lawyer by profession. However, that's not what he's been doing for a living. He's been working for this big, I want to say some kind of a tech company or something, or construction. I can't remember the company exactly, but that's not important. The fact of the matter is that he was recently let go from his job due to discrimination. They pushed him out and gave him a big payout. So like to the tune of he doesn't have to work again kind of thing. So we find him when he's just been let go from the job. He feels like he was pushed out. He hates the woman who did this to him. He wants revenge. He's at a birthday party in Bermuda with all his other very well-to-do friends. And we get a vibe of a locked door Agatha Christie style mystery where there's a bunch of characters and you don't know what their motivations are, what their story is, but it's a mystery. And so we're starting off in Bermuda at this birthday party with all these well-to-do people. One of them that he meets at the party suggests that he can help him get revenge on his former manager who did this to him. He agrees to it and says, okay, but I'm going away. I'm going to India for a while to spend some time at Christmas with my family, so I won't be around. But the guy says, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it tomorrow. You don't even have to call me or text me. I'll just let you know when it's done. So they agree to this deal. Then, at the suggestion of one of his friends, he decides to fly. Before he goes home for Christmas, he stops by this spa, this exclusive resort at the base of the Himalayas, as depicted on the cover here, for very rich people to go and unwind and relax. It's like a spiritual retreat type of a place, located in India near where the Beatles went to learn how to meditate back in the day. I'm sorry, but the name escapes me at the moment, but it's this exclusive spa resort type place where he goes. As it happens, another of his friends, who is a big-time movie producer, as well as the star of his upcoming movie, also end up there. So we have this bunch of super wealthy people at this exclusive spa, and a bunch of murders start happening. It is weird. It is fast-paced. It is funny. It is crazy. I don't even know what to say. It's described in here as Kevin Kwan meets Agatha Christie meets the TV show The White Lotus. So it's got that weird element of quirky characters to it. We meet weird doctors at this place who are prescribing all kinds of things that are like more like orders or commands than actual suggestions or advice. Ro, our main character, happens to notice at this spa that everybody there are wearing the exact same white cotton pajamas. He starts to feel like he's trapped inside this weird cult. They have to communicate by writing little notes to each other on fancy stationery, because phones are either prohibited or discouraged. I can't remember which now, but anyway, they have all these little weird rules at this place. So the more you read, the more you get into this, the more hilarious and bizarre and intriguing and freaky it gets. I'm not even at the first murder yet, and it's like, I can't put this down. It's the ideal daytime read. If you do not pay attention, you will miss something because it goes at a breakneck pace. The characters are very vivid, very realistic. With the one thing, if I had to muster any kind of a critique at this point, would be that he does go over the top in his descriptions of what the people are wearing, and they're dripping with expensive jewelry and Cartier watches and their hairstyles. He does go on and on about that a little bit. However, that said, it is to demonstrate just how over the top ridiculous and wealthy these people are, their ostentation, their pretentiousness, and their general kind of ignorance of how other people in the world live. Another thing I really like about this book, though, is that our main protagonist, Ro, although he is in a different class, he's in the top earning percentage of people in the world, he's not depicted as having no morality or no sense of self or no appreciation for other people who are different than him. He's not a villain, he's not a pervert, he's not misogynistic in any way. He treats other people with respect. He has a keen self-awareness, a great sense of humor. He doesn't take himself that seriously. So that was refreshing to read in a book about somebody that has super wealth, because it's been my experience that they're normally, not portrayed in the best light. So yeah, really likable guy. I can't wait to see what happens to him next, what he does at this weird spa. Is he in fact trapped in a cult? We don't know. So yeah, really enjoyable. I'm hoping to finish this today or tomorrow. So this one is the second of my Friday reads. I hope you enjoyed this video. I love to hear what you guys are reading this weekend. Where I live, we're in a snowfall warning right now. We're expected to get about 8 to 10 inches of snow in the next 24 hours. So yeah, I plan to stay in and do lots of reading. Have a great night. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend. Talk to you soon. Bye.